Hello, everybody, and welcome to Literary Gladiators.
So, hi.
Let's meet everybody.
I'm not Charles.
I'm not Ari.
And I'm definitely Josh.
And you're not both of us. I'm Ari, this is Charles, that's Josh.
I also go by Hungry. I'm very hungry.
Yeah, we know about that.
I'm starving.
We are going to be doing the Anti-TBR Tag today.
TBR stands for...
And this was created by Nicole and her books.
TBR stands for...
To be read.
So not to be read.
So this is similar to the books that I have absolutely no interest in reading, which I'll leave a video down below to that. Plus the original video.
Everybody defecates.
Yep, I'll never read that book.
Well, I guess I beg to differ.
Alrighty, the first question is a popular book everyone loves that you have no interest in reading.
50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, you know what? That's exactly what I wrote down.
I'm sorry.
50 Shades of Grey.
Maybe it's I'm a guy and I don't know.
I don't even know who was supposed to answer first, but
I'm
it
sorry,
doesn't matter which of us answers. It's the same answer.
I didn't really...
50 Shades of Grey.
And where I work in the library.
So like, I don't get how that book even got popular. Like, I swear to God.
Didn't it become popular during the Me Too movement?
It's very disturbing. Why?
Who even reads it? Like, what is the demographic?
It's erotica.
It's erotica.
So women that are looking, because that's what women were. They would ask the bookseller, "Can you recommend me a book that makes me feel?"
Moving on.
But when 50 Shades of Grey came out, it was, "Oh, would you happen to have 50 Shades of Grey?" Because that. But
yeah, in my hair.
It's so toxic too.
I've had it in my hair.
It's one of the 5 books that I have no interest in reading.
Yeah,
I'm not
here.
so.
But was that what you were going to say, though?
It depends on whether or not you define it as popular. On the mainstream,
in the mainstream.
On the mainstream, yes, but among BookTube and among contemporaries in the BookTube community, they despise it.
Okay, what do you got then?
I was looking through Goodreads, and when I was looking at things that had very great ratings, I couldn't find anything. I couldn't, because those were all things that either I've read and have rightfully, like, The Complete Mouse is on the list.
But The Complete Mouse is amazing.
It's amazing. That's exactly the case. I was looking at the best rated books according to Goodreads, and there's nothing on there that I said, oh, I'm absolutely not going to read that. Because 50 Shades of Grey is not on that list.
Yeah.
But I was looking at it the mathematical way. If you're looking at it the mainstream way, then 50 Shades of Grey would be something that would be on that list.
So, this is unanimous, guys. Don't read that book.
I mean, here's my thing. I'm not a prude. I don't care. If you like it, great. I don't know why you like it. I don't know.
No, not great.
Question 2.
Question 2.
A classic book or author you don't have an interest in reading.
Who's going to go first? That's Charles.
Charles.
No, it's pass. I have... Shame on me. I have been behind on my reading because I'm...
So this is a classic...
working full time, so I have been behind a little bit.
Classic book you don't have an interest in reading.
I'll answer first. I have no answer.
Me either. I want to read, but I also don't want to...
It's the same... I don't want to... There's nothing that I would not be willing to give a chance.
There is one book, actually 2 books, but one of them I've already read. I don't know if that counts. But the one I haven't read that I have no interest in reading is Wuthering Heights.
I was reading that for the discussion. It was probably one of the most difficult things to get into.
It's not just that, but other people have also told me it's an extremely difficult book to not just get into, but to read in general. I don't have the attention span to be able to read Wuthering Heights. Now, the other one, which
it's very complicated.
I did a video with you a while ago, but you can remember how much I disliked it, and that was The Crucible. It's just, I have a lot of problems with that book, but since I already read it, I'm not counting it. I'm going with Wuthering Heights.
And I disagree, because I thought The Crucible was a very good book.
Yeah, I think it's just it's just the difficulty of some of the things that happen in it that bother me. I mean, Wuthering Heights is a story that, like, if you could get past page 50, you are like God. You know, I mean, it's like one of those books. So I'm going to put that as my official answer for this one.
I was reading Wuthering Heights around the same time I was reading 1984. And 1984 I was becoming immersed in because of both. I mean, more so
84 is good.
The strong content.
You also had a video. We did a video on 84. I think he was in it too, wasn't he?
I was.
It was pretty good.
When I wasn't young, dumb, and
No, he wasn't in the discussion.
No, he wasn't in the discussion.
I wasn't in
It
this?
was me, you, Trevor, Larry, and Caleb.
It was Trevor.
I read the book, though. It was a great book.
Oh, yeah, that was the one where somehow a chair got... I don't remember. Something happened with the chair. Oh, yeah, Trevor was sitting down there.
No, you were sitting behind us because Trevor sent you to room
Hi, Trevor.
101.
Whatever.
Hello, Trevor.
Hi.
Yo.
Okay, the next one. An author whose books you have no interest in reading.
I have a surprise answer for this one, but I'm guessing you were going to go first.
Mine was E.L. James. Because
Remind me what he's written.
she's the one that wrote 50 Shades of Grey and the 50 Shades series.
You know what? I was so disinterested in the book, I didn't know who the author was.
The issue that I have is, I mean, it's very...
I work in a library, so I have a few things I'm going to tell you now.
Sickening that, I mean, there's some writers that their works are so distasteful, but yet all you need is the right opportunity to make enough money, and it doesn't matter what other people
we
think.
had talked about that before with movies. It also applies to books.
With the thing that really gets to me is that...
Hey, Josh, where'd Charles go?
I believe he got a call from the mothership. He had to go back to his home planet.
Yep, he got abducted by his own people. How lovely is that? I guess it's just the two of us now.
Yep. Hopefully there's enough cookies and raspberry Snapple to last him, though.
Yep, he needs the fuel.
What I was saying about 50 Shades of Grey, the one thing that bothers me about it is that it has this toxic idea that if a man or...
Wait, you actually read it?
No, but I know the background of the story. It puts about this idea that if somebody is attractive enough, then their taking sexual advantage of you is justified.
Yeah, it's not even about attractiveness.
No.
It shouldn't be.
Being in relationships or engaging in sexual activity is never justified.
Yeah. I actually had a surprise answer here, and this is only because I don't know why I don't like her books, and that actually is, and this is number 3, right? An author whose book you have no interest in reading. I've never once picked up a Beverly Cleary book. I don't know why. Like, I did pick up one. That was Beezus and Ramona. It was fine, but like I didn't want to read another one.
I've read excerpts from her books.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something about Cleary, I just didn't like the writing style, even though it's like a young adult kids book.
I've read about Ramona and Beezus, and
I'm sure they're excellent books. I don't
I've read
want
about
to
Henry
pick
Huggins.
one. I don't want to pick one up. I don't know if it's the covers. I don't know if it was the way it was written. The first one I read was written. Beverly Cleary wasn't really something I ever got into.
It's all good.
I mean, if you out there guys want to try and change my mind on that, I'd be more than happy to give it a chance. But at the moment, I don't know.
And for number 4, it may a bit of a complicated one as well, or at least in mine, and that is an author you have read a couple of books from and have decided their books are not for you. And for me, books is the key word. And at the moment, I'm going with Ernest Hemingway.
Really?
But on the basis of his books. Because I've read The Old Man and the Sea.
I thought that was good.
I've read To Have and Have Not. And I wasn't too thrilled with his books. I like his short stories.
Some of his books are definitely better than others. To Have and Have Not is not the greatest one.
No,
I would say the top 3 would be Old Man and the Sea, would be Sun Also Rises, and Call to Arms. Those are
Farewell Arms.
Farewell Arms. Sorry, those are the 3 ones I think are the best. I don't think To Have and Have Not is good. Wasn't a fan of Snows of Kilimanjaro. Was not a fan of Men Without Women.
Snows of Kilimanjaro was a short story. I mean, I like The Capital of the World.
And I can understand how because some of his stuff, he was just too depressed when he was writing it. Now, like Old Man and the Sea, he was like the right level of depressed, but some of them are just, they're too depressed.
Old Man and the Sea, to me, was like the hour-long episodes of The Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Where The Twilight Zone was good enough as a half-hour show. I think that...
Yeah, all of season 4.
Old Man and the Sea would be...
Now, you've taken one of my favorite authors, so unfortunately, I'm going to have to take one of your favorite authors for this one. An author you have read a couple of books from and have decided their book's not for you. Stephen King, for me.
I saw that coming.
Because here's the thing, I like some of his books, but the more I read them, the more they got tropey, if you know what I mean. Like, they kind of felt... Now, I know he's got some new ones that came out, so I haven't given them a chance yet. But the more popular ones, like I never liked Pet Sematary. I don't like the concept.
I thought that was
the
his
animals.
scariest work.
Maybe that's why I don't like it. It's too like that. Carrie was okay. I was okay with Carrie.
I wasn't a fan of Carrie.
You weren't a fan of Carrie. Like I said, it's just okay. The thing with Stephen King is that I'm just not that much of a fan of the extreme horror genre. So me going for Stephen King would be like me playing hockey. Can you see someone like me playing hockey? I don't know how to ice skate, you know. So, I mean, given the right circumstance with maybe his new stuff, I don't know what you think of it. Maybe. You know, there's another author that I just thought of that is also in this one. And that's been Neil Gaiman. Like, some of his stuff is good. But, like I'm looking over there, I see Ocean the End of the Lane was good, Coraline, Stardust, they were good. I wasn't a fan of Neverwhere. It was okay. I didn't really care for it, though. I just don't...
Ocean at the End of the Lane was fantastic.
Yeah, I like
Coraline was pretty good, and Neverwhere was... I would say Coraline and Neverwhere were somewhat...
The problem was Stardust was good, but the problem was it was too much of a romantic subplot. Like, the book was fine, and the movie had a little bit of a romantic subplot that didn't quite work out. But I think overall, I'm a little bit concerned about reading more Neil Gaiman because I've seen his stuff has kind of declined over the years, but that's just kind of my opinion.
I'll have to examine what he's written beyond what I've read thus far. I read American Gods as well, and that one was not as good as the others.
I didn't read that one, so.
Next one is a genre you have no interest in or a genre you tried to get into and couldn't.
Well, I'm assuming that you're going to have the same answer as you did in the Breakfast Book Tag, where
Correct.
You don't really have an answer to that.
I have 3 answers.
Oh, you do? Okay. I would say, again, it's young adult fantasy. That's kind of what I said before, a little bit. I kind of alluded to it a little bit. But, like, you know, like Twilight, romantic novels like that. I mean, there are some that are okay. I mean, I would consider Stardust, again. I'll talk about Stardust again. I consider that to be young adult. But I'm more talking about, like, the serious romantic novels, and also, like, I guess you could say, I don't want to bring it up again, but 50 Shades of Grey, again, the erotica. But there isn't much I wouldn't like.
YA fantasy is very popular in the booktube community.
Yeah.
But to me, that if you don't like it, you don't like it. My 3...
It also depends on what it is. It's not like all young adult fantasy stinks. It really has to be specific, like Twilight or something.
My 3 are erotica, pulp romance, and mythical westerns.
Mythical westerns? What are mythical westerns?
A western that centers around the myth of the western, the West.
Oh,
like the cowboys.
Oh, gotcha.
And how the cowboys are valiant heroes that pretty much mean everything to the society.
I get you.
Like something that alludes to the fact about the West, that depicts the American West for what it is, or what it was. I would be up to reading something like that, something that, like a Cormac McCarthy piece. Like William Johnston is somebody that I really, things that he's written, not as much. Pulp romance is pretty much those paperbacks that pretty much are just, there's no plot to them. It's just
there is one romance book, or small series, that I actually enjoyed, and it was by an author called Mary Wismacott. Do you know who Mary Wismacott really is?
Isn't that Mary Shelley?
Nope, it's Agatha Christie.
Oh, okay.
She did a couple of romance novels late in her career, and they weren't half bad. But also, that's also back in, what, the 60s, 70s? It's not, like, modern. I mean, wow. I mean, trying everything. She can do everything. That's why I think she's possibly the best author of all time, not just with mystery.
Mary Wollstonecraft is Mary Shelley's mother. No, that was her maiden name, because Percy Shelley was her husband, so she took his name. The next one is a book you have bought but will never read.
I didn't have anything for this one, because I can't think of a book that I bought that I wouldn't read. I mean, I have a couple. Like, I have some... Trevor gave me all these Doctor Who books, and they're so small print, and they're so long, that I haven't gotten around to those, and I probably won't, but I can't really think of anything.
I'm pretty much the same, but I just say never.
The only reason I'd say those particular Doctor Who ones is because the print is so small, and I don't have the time for such, and it's not just one. Like, he gave me, like, 15 of them, so I just don't have the time. If I did have the time, I don't know if I could, my attention span could work with those books, but because they're science fiction, and you have to read them very carefully.
Okay.
So I would probably say none.
The next one is a series you have no interest in reading, or a series you started and have DNF'd.
This series. I got through the first book. It was a pain for me to get through Aragon. Like, I thought this was going to be like the next Lord of the Rings. I thought this was going to be awesome. I keep forgetting that this is a 17-year-old writing this book. It's just really a pain for me to get through. It was such a pain for me to get through the first one. I never read Eldest, I never read Bringsinger, and I never read whatever the last one is. I never even got that far. So for me, it would definitely be the Aragon quadrilogy.
Gotta be careful about what you say about 17-year-olds writing books or high schoolers writing books, because some of our contributors.
Oh, I'm not saying that all 17-year-olds. I'm talking about the one that wrote this one, Christopher Paolini. And it was like one of the first ones to really publish it and do it, which I give him credit for. But yeah, if you can, I mean, I know people who've written books and they're like 10 years old. Anyone can write a book.
wrote The Outsiders as a teenager.
Yeah, and that's an extremely good book. Wow. I just think that when it came to this particular genre, and the length of the book, it's very complicated to read. Maybe it has nothing to do with the age. Maybe it's just the writer. But this quadrilogy, I only got through the first book, and I really have no desire to read any more of it because it was so hard for me to get through.
Mine's an obvious one, and that's the Twilight series.
Okay.
It's just obvious. I have no interest in it. It has so many things that just turn me off.
Now, what was this? This one was...
So many different tropes.
So that's for you, a series you have no interest in reading. That, for me, it was a series I started and didn't finish. Yeah, Twilight would be in there for me, too. I would say probably... Doesn't 50 Shades have a sequel too?
It's a series.
Oh my god.
And the last question is a new release you have no interest in reading.
Wait a minute. Sorry, can we go back to question 6 for a minute? I forgot something. A book you have bought which you will never read. Sorry, I want to go back because I forgot about this. There is a book I have that I will never read. But it's not because it's a negative thing. It's because it's actually like I'm afraid to read it. And that is... Curtain by Agatha Christie, which we had mentioned before. The thing with Curtain is it is not the last book she wrote, as you stated. It's the last published book. I know what happens in this book. I've actually watched the David Chusset version. I don't want to read this, but the reason I don't want to read it is because I don't want Poirot to end. I never read this because I want to keep going through the mysteries over and over again without there being a solid, hard ending. I'm not very good with endings. But I know that sounds a little bit different, but I would never, ever read this book. I just keep this book because it's a nice... first of all, it was gotten in Israel, as you can see there. 6 Yosef du Noisy, Jerusalem. Also, this one is 1975, which is when it was published. It was finally published in 1975. After Agatha Christie's death. But the thing is that I know what happens in this book and I don't want to read it. It's like, oh, there's secrets in here that I will never know because I'm just too afraid to see the death of one of my favorite characters. So, I have it. I keep it with me in case one day I decide to open the book and read it. But for now, I have yet to read Curtain. I've watched it, but I've never actually read it and had it in my own. Because watching it's a little easier. You know?
I mean, I disagree. I want to finish it. That's my thing.
Yeah, I'm the kind of person that most of the time I'd want to finish it, but I love Poirot and I just don't want to see him, kick the bucket. But I have heard so many good things about this book, and I'm sure one of these days I'm going to open this book and I'm going to finish it. But for now, it remains a little locked secret for me. So I just wanted to mention that for number 6 before we went on. I forgot to mention it. So number 8 is...
A new release you have no interest in reading.
I didn't have anything for this because I can't think of a new release. I mean, I guess the new Stephen King books, but I have some. I might want to read those.
If you're saying current, mine is The Light We Carry by Michelle Obama. Because...
Michelle who?
Michelle Obama.
Oh, I didn't know she wrote a book.
I was at Costco, and I saw this complete display of The Light We Carry, and I immediately walked away from it.
I'm not so sure I'd want to read that, also because I'm just not in the... I mean, I know you are a huge fan of them. I'm not a huge fan of political, biographies. I more like the...
it's not even a biography, it's a memoir.
Oh, a memoir. I kind of like the ones that it's, like, more talking about, like the Kennedy one that you and Dr. Esposito?
Yeah, the Last Investigation.
Like, those are fine. I just don't like the ones where it's, like, right after their presidency and they talk about the presidency.
Yeah, it's not really... I'm not really interested.
I like the ones that happened, like,
yeah.
I don't know, 50 years ago.
When I read presidential biographies, I want to read as much of an objective work as possible about what it is that happened.
Right, because like when you talk about like the most recent president, Donald Trump, the books are all about what he didn't do. I'd rather read a book where it's talking about either what they did do, but like years ago, or perhaps like maybe the entire story.
I want what happened, and I want it from objective eyes. I don't want it. I don't want
autobiography.
And you don't want that. And I also don't want a piece that's being created to defame somebody.
Like, I would like it if we were to write a book about you doing literary gladiators. I wouldn't want it to be from your point of view. I'd rather it be one of us, because it makes it feel that this person actually was really important. So maybe I'll write a book about you. How's that sound?
Well, I'd read that. It would be an interesting read.
Page 1. Josh did some stuff, and stuff. There we go.
Josh did some stuff and stuff. I mean, if it was...
I'm a much better writer than him.
At some point, it would be worth writing about being... putting together
I started an autobiography.
It would be a memoir.
I did start writing a book about my experiences at camp. I never finished it because I don't know. I just never got around to it. But I did start writing.
The other one I have on my list is The Plague Years by Lawrence Wright, which is a history about this most recent pandemic. And because how can you really write about something that is only a year old?
Yeah, I was about to say, you probably could write about the pandemic, but it would have to be much later.
And
the only way I could see you could do it is if you're talking about, like, a personal experience within you that was changed by the pandemic, not having the pandemic. Like, for instance, if I wanted to write about how I realized what was going on and I changed my behavior during the pandemic because I had the time to do it, that's different. But not like, oh, the virus traveled to point A and then point B and then point C, killed someone, went to point D. You know, no one's going to... I don't know, that's not really my thing.
And this is somebody who is a journalist who is a staff writer for The New Yorker. That doesn't really, to me, that really doesn't qualify. That's not really a qualification of having the background to put something like this together.
Yeah, I get you. So, I guess that makes sense then.
Yeah. The Megyn Kelly Settle for More, I remember when that was out, and I have no interest in hearing what you have to say, Megyn Kelly. Those are all of the questions for the Anti-TBR Tag. If you're interested in doing this, we encourage you to do so. Well, we're not going to specifically tag anybody. This has made its way around.
I will say one thing. It's just a side thing. If this video can get 10 likes, I'll read this. I'm just saying as a separate thing because this is... It's like bringing me in.
Do it.
But if we can get 10 likes, I will read this.
10 likes.
And I will do a review of it because I was going to do a review of the movie another point in time on a different show. But I will read this and we will do a review of it.
Let's get this video to 10 likes and then Ari reads and reviews that.
I'll do it. It's tough.
We encourage you to subscribe to this channel. We're hoping to make our way to 2,000 subscribers.
2K.
And if you really, really like what you see, please support us on our Patreon.
And don't let birds scream into the amp.
Absolutely not. And because the money that we make allows us to provide you, the viewer, with even more great content. And as we reach each of our milestones on our Patreon, we will release even more videos to patrons. And
we'd love for you to watch them.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lot of... We have, at the $50 per month milestone, we have 6 that are waiting, plus 1 that we will put together for you. Be sure to join us next time for some more content on our channel. And for now, and as always, we encourage you to keep reading.